So the last one we have is from famed director, the guy that brought us Blade 2 and Hellboy.
Mm-hmm.
Guillermo del Toro's Pan's Labyrinth, which we've both heard, praises about for months. I know it came out to a limited release, last year. And we finally got to see it. First of all, we need to say it's not a horror movie at all.
No.
It's a fantasy-based movie. Let's go ahead and get started.
Here's the thing. This is one of the few movies, I know this has been mentioned before, that's ever been nominated for an Academy Award that was a fantasy film. Now, there was Lord of the Rings, which I guess, but this has been nominated for a foreign feature Oscar, okay? Mm-hmm. Very, very few films have ever been nominated for this. It also, I was looking this up too, when it premiered at the Cannes Festival, it got like one of the longest standing ovations in the history of that festival, which was like 25 minutes long standing ovation. Mm-hmm. It's the story of a young woman, a young girl, who's accompanying her mother who's pregnant, and I think it's the 40s, fascist Spain or something like that. And she's accompanying her mother to go live with their stepfather, who is a captain of the Spanish army.
And he's a big asshole.
Yeah, he's like every asshole military character you've ever seen in the film and combine them all together, and you probably
seriously. I think they tried to make him a little bit like Hitler.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, but anyway, the little girl in the film is a huge fan of fairy tales, and she always carries around like books that have books of fairy tales with her and stuff. And she's got this really active imagination, I guess is what they're trying to hint at. And while she's staying there, she starts to see these really odd things. Like the first thing she sees, I believe, is a fairy that comes and visits her and tells her about leads her to this labyrinth.
Insect of some sort, but she sees it as a fairy. And the cool thing is it actually transforms into a fairy in front of her. And Dio would love this movie, actually. It's got fairies in it.
If it had rainbows and fairies in it, he'd love it, yeah.
Yeah, half of the movie is her trying to complete these tasks to move over to her land. Like there's a really weird looking goat looking guy.
It's called Fawn, I think.
Yeah,
it's a fawn
who's telling her that she's actually a princess in this other world, and she has to do these tasks to prove herself or something like that.
To be able to claim her throne, yeah, I think she has to complete all these tasks. And that's what I was going to say. The fairy leads her into this labyrinth where she meets this guy, and then he tells her about all this stuff that she's got to do.
The other half of the movie is a lot like Schindler's List.
It is like that in the fact that there's like two completely different movies going on at the same time. You got the one that's the fantasy one, and then there's this other movie about a band of rebels that are trying to take over this camp where her stepfather, the captain, is like this military leader of the camp, and they're trying to overthrow this camp while all this other stuff's going on. So it's like two different stories kind of competing in the film.
Yeah, and the captain is really like a dictator type that he has a bunch of people working for him that really hate him, and there's a few of them on the other side that are supplying the other side with weapons and food and all that stuff. So without giving it away, I mean, a lot of stuff happens to where the captain turns on pretty much everybody that helps him. And the ending, I don't know if you would consider it's a different ending than you'd see in a lot of movies. I don't know if you would consider it sad or what, but
the ending is, to me anyway, was probably one of the most, how do I put this? It's not your typical Hollywood ending, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's like something you would never really expect to happen, but in the end, it all works out really well. I mean, for what the story is.
It does work. As a lot of to me, a lot of fantasy movies are really, they're hard to explain, especially if they're really good. Because this is one of those movies where you would have to watch it at least 3 or 4 times to get exactly what was going on.
Yeah, and it is kind of like a metaphor too. Like there's a lot of stuff going on in the film that you can tell has religious tones to it, especially when you get up to the ending and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, it works on a lot of different levels in that way. But the thing I really want to talk about that's probably the biggest part of this movie to me, well, 2 things. The story being number 1, I guess, but the second is the visual effects. Because I fucking hate CG. I mean, that's no secret to anybody. I'm sure I talk about it constantly. Mm-hmm. But this is probably some of the best use of CG I've ever seen in any film.
See, that's what we always talk, or I'll talk about it a lot. CG, if you have the budget to do it right, can work and can do amazing things in movies. And it, this right here is a clear example of that, along with the Lord of the Rings movies. You have to have the budget to do the CG, and it really did work with this movie. And I think, and I've said this to you, I think that if this movie was an English language film, and this is actually in Spanish language, it has subtitles in case people don't know, that it probably would have gave The Departed run for its money as far as the best movie of the year last year, because it's one of those movies that you don't even have to be a fan of fantasy films, because there's enough of the other stuff in there to keep you intrigued by it. And I think it is a film that a lot of people would really like.
Well, it's actually got a really humanistic kind of moral to it. It's not like a fantasy film like Lord of the Rings, where you're talking about, battling like hobbits and stuff like that. It's nothing like that. It's more of like a...
Well, there is some weird stuff going on there, though. Another thing that's horror fans, there is a couple of really gruesome scenes in it, too, I guess we could talk about.
Yeah, there's a couple of scenes that involve the captain that I know where he has like a torture chamber kind of place made up for if he catches any of the rebels around that are trying to play. There's some pretty gruesome scenes in that regard, but overall I'd say there's only a couple of scenes that would be really horrendously violent, and the ending is pretty disturbing too.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's just one of those movies that you just couldn't see Hollywood get behind it.
There's no way.
It's a weird movie, and in one instance it could be a kid's movie. In the other instance, it's just it's got a lot of gore, and it's an R-rated movie, by the way, in case you're wondering. But
yeah, there was a big. I remember hearing about this. There was a big uproar for a period of time where they actually had to put warnings on the posters because people were taking small children and stuff to see the film, thinking it would be like Lord of the Rings or a lot of those other films that were like fantasy based, like I guess Chronicles of Narnia and stuff that were coming out around the time. But they had to place warnings over the posters to keep people in mind that it had some really rough scenes of violence.
The majority of the scenes in it, though, the kids would really like.
Yeah, if you can just keep them away from the war scenes in it too, that's the thing. Yeah.
It's just it's a movie that I just know that it had to have been a labor of love for Guillermo del Toro to make it, and I was just amazed by it. It's by far the best movie I've ever seen that guy make. Yeah,
it's probably one of my favorite movies that I've seen within the last year or so too.
Yeah,
I mean that's just how good I thought it was.
So this actually comes out this Tuesday though.
Right.
On the special 2-disc platinum edition from New Line Home Video, Home Entertainment.
Yeah, and there's really not a film I can recommend more. I mean, I don't watch a lot of new mainstream films, and this is kind of close to mainstream. Mm-hmm. And it's actually got a really cool disc with a lot of special features on it.
Tons of stuff.
Yeah.
Tons of featurettes. They've got the Charlie Rose show that they did. A lot of stuff on it. And
oh, yeah, I guess it would be a good thing to mention, though, that it is in Spanish.
Yeah,
the whole film is subtitled, so yeah.
It is.
That's one of the reasons why it probably didn't do well in the United States, because not a lot of people like to watch subtitled movies.
Yeah, and a lot of people like to read.
Yeah.
The little girl was really good too, though. I guess we can talk about that. Mention that she was a really good actress for probably about 12 or 13 years old.
Probably, yeah.
Anyway, that's Pan's Labyrinth, and it's awesome little movie. Check it out. The horror fans will like it. Some kids would probably like it. Your parents would probably like it.
It's just a good movie. I mean, you can't really put it in any kind of genre. It's just a good fucking thing.
It's enjoyable.
Yeah.
So